Alright, hello everyone. Here we are back for a Golf Clash tutorial video here for the Pro Division. This is hole number 1 we're going to get underway with here. It's also going to be my first look at this. But the wind should be small enough that I'm not really too worried too much about this round. The only sometimes problem with that is you get yourself in too small of a wind that you can't really do anything in terms of what the expert players can do. So sometimes it is just a little bit harder. Well, pretty much almost every time that I play a round in Pro, especially through the weekend or whatever, I usually almost always end up scoring better in expert. So that's one of the disadvantages of going the Pro Division for me, is not having enough wind to get to certain spots. Like for instance, this is a tailwind. I'm pretty much giving up 20 yards on this drive when where I'd be on expert. So the only real difference is it makes it easier not to make a mistake in Pro because you have smaller winds. So smaller wind, less mistakes. So let's take a look here and what we can do. I'm just going to kind of go for straight down the fairway here, and hopefully with the Titan ball you shouldn't have too much problem staying somewhere close to perfect. But you shouldn't even really need a perfect ball. I would just say perfect-ish. A great ball. You can see there's a lot of room in this fairway. The biggest problem is you can see we can't get really down there far enough. And, that kind of, just kind of reiterates what I've been saying about this wind not being big enough. If we could have more wind and get down there an extra 20 yards with that same shot in expert, it actually makes it easier to score, not harder to score. So, as I mentioned, I find Pro to be just a little bit more of a skill almost. Playing in this tour is just a little bit tougher for me. However, these adjustments are, a little bit easier to do. And with that being said, I'll usually, I might just try to set up here for this rough bump. One of the things I can do, I can just kind of backspin it right here if I'd like to. Or I can go for this rough bump. I don't think I really quite have the top spin that I'd like to be able to do the bump shot. So we're going to do kind of right about this much spin. I'm thinking, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5-ish rings. So there's 3. I'm going to go just a little bit more than 5. Of course, we're going to need quite a bit of curl. So let's see what we can get here. That's too much curl. But you can see, what we have in mind. Keep in mind that you cannot go any more rings than I just did. Like that was kind of maxing out. Like 5 there at 1.4 per ring was pretty much as far as I could go. Oh, speaking of which, I think I have a bag set up for this. Oh, I'm actually on it. That was luck. So with that in mind, what was that, 7.5? As I mentioned, 5 rings is where max shows up. I wasn't even quite max. So with that in mind, I probably should have went 4.5. I was just kind of, winging it in, I was just basically just winging the adjustment. So good luck with that first hole. There you can see, relatively straightforward, easy to do. You shouldn't really have too much problems. Keep it away from the sand, keep it away from the rough. It'll be very straightforward. So good luck, and I'll see you guys for hole 2 coming up.